let me shift here, and I just want to talk a little bit about silence. Silence, my sisters and brothers, has many dimensions. There is a sacred silence, which is that silence out of which creative contemplation grows. It's a meditation on the word and the will of God. It's the silence out of which we meditate and get closer to God. It's the silence in which fervent prayer is born. There is a sacred silence. But then there's a seething silence that comes when you are quiet externally, but you've got a storm going on the inside. The late Dr. Howard Thurman called that a noisy quietness. But then finally, and here's the silence I want to get to, there is a sinful silence. And Adam's silence falls into this category because a sinful silence is a silence that comes over you when you ought to say something, but you don't say nothing at all. It is that silence that creeps in when you ought to speak up for God, but you sit there acting like you don't know what God said. My sisters and brothers, I fear that Adam was not only silent on that fateful day in the garden when a serpent showed up, but Adam has remained silent through the centuries. When Africans were captured and taken from their homeland, packed in the hulls of ships, sold on auction blocks, beat and killed and misused and kept in chattel slavery, Adam was silent. When Jews were persecuted, deported, and murdered by Nazis, Adam was silent. When Native Americans were slaughtered in the acts of genocide so their land could be taken from them, Adam was silent. When our ancestors were lynched and called boy and girl, even though they were full grown, when they were denied employment and equal access to resources, Adam was silent. And today, far too often, when our boys are shooting and killing each other on the streets, and our girls suffer from low self-esteem and give birth to children whose daddies won't stay around to take care of them, Adam is still silent. Sisters and brothers, there is a sinful silence among us when injustice is raging and we remain quiet. When people are aching, when people are hurting, when babies are crying and dying of hunger and not having enough love from insufficient care, and we remain silent, that is a sinful silence. When the church looks and sees what's going on in its communities, and not just in its communities, but what's going on right there in the household of faith, and we sit there and act like we don't know what's going on, that is a sinful silence. And let me suggest that there's a time when silence is sinful. And here in the text, we see a snake talking to Adam's wife. Adam remains silent. Adam should have said something. My sisters and brothers, the nation is waiting for somebody to say something. Go on, touch your neighbor and tell him you ought to say something. You see them boys on the corner, you ought to say something. You see what's happening with those sisters. I'm not talking about Pookie and Ray Ray and them. I'm talking about the saints' children. Y'all ain't gonna help me in here today. You ought to say something. The classroom is waiting for somebody to say something. Youth violence is waiting for somebody to say something. Every community, every city, every town, every home, every boy, every girl, every family is waiting for the church to break the silence. And if we don't break the silence, let me tell you what's going to happen. If we don't break the silence, we end up embracing the appeals of the serpent. What are the appeals of the serpent? Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. Just because you made it to the palace, bless the name of the Lord. But you've got a responsibility to help somebody else make it across. Thank you, Jesus. Don't pull up the ladder because you climbed to the top. Don't blow up the bridge because you made your way across. Thank you, Jesus. But reach your hand back down the ladder and pull somebody else up out of Lodabar. It's all right if you got it now, just hold it for me. I'll be there to get it after a while. Oh, bless the name of the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. You've got to make up in your mind that what God has for me, it is for me. I might not have it right now, may not get it next week, and you might try to stop me from getting it, but if God said it's mine, I want you to know after a while, I'm going to get what belongs to me. Sometimes God got to strip what you got so you don't depend on yourself. He got to take away from you so you understand how to depend on El Shaddai. Come on in here.
90.7 WTCC. Good morning. Welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. 4 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m. I want to thank Mr. Kenneth Barnett for bringing us up into the 9 o'clock hour with The Promise. You can hear The Promise every Monday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Bringing you the best in gospel music. Good way to start out your Monday morning. Great way to start out your week. And woo! What a week it has been. A lot to talk about, so very little time. Half past the hour, I've got Senator Eric Lesser coming with our State House update. And then at the 10 o'clock hour, I've got the First Lady coming on. But I want to try to deal with two things during this first hour on the Spoken Word radio broadcast. DaBaby DaBaby, the rapper DaBaby, got canceled, cancel culture, over the weekend because of some alleged homophobic remarks that he made at a concert. And here's the question. The question is not whether or not the remarks he made were inappropriate, were insensitive. It's not whether or not he gave out misinformation around HIV, because he definitely did give misinformation. But here's the question. The question is, why do rappers and artists get canceled when they offend the LGBT community, but never got canceled for denigrating, being disrespectful to black people? That's my question. DaBaby been calling black women bees and hoes. He's been rapping about killing black people in his songs. Kill a nigga, all that stuff. And yet, that didn't offend any of his endorsers. None of them. None of them said, hold up. You can't be rapping about murdering black people. We're going to cancel you for that. We're going to take away your endorsements if you rap about murdering black people. No. They're perfectly cool with that. Matter of fact, they signed him. They signed him when he was rapping about murdering black people. So it's okay to murder black people, to rap about murdering black people, but not offending the LGBTQ community. There's something hypocritical about that. We'll talk about that. Then there's been this conservative outrage over Simone Biles. It's nothing but racism. We're going to deal with that too. Talking DaBaby, talking Simone Biles. Do me a favor. Tell a friend. Tell somebody the bishop is on the air. Those of you who are streaming, welcome Facebook. Welcome Twitter. Welcome Instagram. Welcome YouTube. Welcome everybody who is tuned in wherever you are tuned in from. Good morning to you. Do me a favor. Rep your city. Rep your town. Let me know where you're coming in from. I need to know where y'all are coming in from. Good morning, Annie Beard. Good morning, Lyle Seymour, Diane Lockhart. Good morning, Keith Brooks, Maurice Washington, Kevin O'Connell. Good morning, Tyrell Williams. I see y'all. Yvonne Ince, S.C. Brown, Michael Moore, Jules Joseph Howard. I see y'all. Do me a favor. Rep your city, rep your town. Let me know what part of the world. I see Cambridge, Massachusetts up in here. What part of the world are you all listening from? Boston is in the house. Look, Massachusetts deep up in here. Yes, yes, yes. Newport News, Virginia up in the house. Let me know where you're coming in from. Definitely want to acknowledge your place of abode, your residency. And also do me a favor, share. Like, subscribe, and share so people can see it. Jules Joseph Howard just asked me if I'm going to talk about shadow banning and blocking on the platforms. Yeah, they've got me shadow banned, trying to limit my reach on several of the platforms, mainly Facebook and Twitter. And they're doing some crazy stuff on the gram as well. I don't know if we'll have time to talk about that, but just know that they are, which means the more that you share, the more people that will see it. So Yvonne is listening all the way from London. We got Maryland up in the house. Boynton Beach, Florida is up in here. Detroit, okay, Motown is in the house. Dallas, Texas. Dr. Grayson from the South Side is in the house. Dr. Grayson, you know my wife just pledged Zeta, right? Anyway, up in the house, we got all kinds of places up in here. Bluntstown, Florida is in the house. Yes, rep your city, rep your town. Share this. We'll be right back after this. Don't y'all go nowhere. Tell somebody we in here Okay, here's some new music by T Swan. Y'all need to check out my son. Get his music. It's banging. Okay, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. This is called the Cookout. Haters ain't invited to the cookout. For that bad energy, we on the lookout. Check it out.
I'm with the bros. Was so small that it's closed, and I'm still rolling on the road to riches. Still I got a long way to go for a finish. Hey, so I gotta handle business. Hey, but sometimes I gotta kick it. Murder beats cause I'm trying to make a killing. Want beef in my city, they be grilling. Still making songs in the basement. I know I'm nice, but I can't get complacent. I know my time coming, I gotta be patient. Forget the club, I got the backyard shaking. Hey, and I'm sipping cold, corona, no virus. For the ones gone, a moment of silence. With the gang, and we gon' get ignited. You can't get invited. Why? Haters ain't invited to the cookout. For that bad energy, we on the lookout. You gon' get right back what you put out. All that negativity is getting took out. It's a party. I ain't driving, I'm riding, shining. I'm just vibing with everybody. Take Bacardi, puff on the Harley. Let's get it started. Hey, don't kill my vibe. You're the kid, Mad City, but I'm still alive. With the guys, so you know we fucking get it live. I be low and I be high, I be in the sky. Wanna know when I'ma stop, probably when I die. But I'ma live forever. Every day I take another breath, I'm getting better. With the fellas, just a vibe when we get together. Cause every day we on the grind, trying to get some cheddar. We in the backyard, come around here trying to act hard. I got people who I know will have my back, dog. I just gotta say the word like a flashcard. I didn't blow, but they treat me like a rap star. Cause they believe in me. The people that you see with me, they gon' eat with me. Be back outside with it, it's a situation. If you ain't real, don't be waiting for no invitation. Why haters ain't invited to the cookout? For that bad energy, we on the lookout. You gon' get right back what you put out. All that negativity is getting took out. It's a party. I ain't driving, I'm riding, shining. I'm just vibing with everybody. Take Bacardi, puff on the Harley. Let's get it started, ayy.
A strong, beautiful black woman staring back at me. One who's seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow, but who never gave up hope for a brighter tomorrow. I've been lied to, cheated on, and stolen from and hit, but it just made me stronger and I refuse to quit. That's right. And though I've been tempted, I refuse to stoop to their level. Don't go down. I rose above that nonsense and made a liar of the devil. All right now. The devil who said I wasn't good enough, cute enough, or worthy of love, I kicked his butt with divine power from above. Power that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me and brought me out of darkness so that I could see that I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a child of the King. Abundant love for me, he came to bring. Oh yes, when I look in the mirror, I love what I see. She's looking good. That strong, beautiful black woman, that woman is me.
All right, that's back to back, my fam. That was my son, T Swan. New music he's got called The Cookout. You want to check that out. And that was my late sister, Rhonda Swan. That was called I Like What I See. You can get that anywhere music is streamed. So check out my fam, y'all. You know, they got it going on. Anyway, and also you can check me out. I still got an EP out there. Gonna put some new stuff out there. But I got one out there that we put out in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. It's called We Still Can't Breathe. We Still Can't Breathe. So I want y'all to check that out, definitely. Okay? Support a brother. That's all I'm saying. You know, support a brother. Let me get the number up here so y'all know. 413 337-1867. Are y'all repping? Y'all repping your city? Y'all repping your town? Dr. Grayson, I'm gonna tell your soror you said hello. Yeah. You know what I got to deal with now. And then we just had our 38th conclave for Iota Phi Theta. I took my son to Baltimore to the international headquarters. He pledged last year, and because of the pandemic, hasn't been able to attend any fraternity type events, doing the normal stuff that neophytes would do, because of the pandemic. So there were no regionals, no this, there was no activity on his campus the last 2 semesters. So all of the stuff that we got to experience as neophytes, as new fraternity members, they didn't get to experience. So I wanted to take him down there with me, my legacy, and introduce him. He got unfettered access to all of the national leadership. He got to meet our last living founder. He got to rub shoulders with the Grand Vice Polaris, the newly elected Grand Polaris. So I got a chance to bond with my boy. He's a man, but you know what I mean. So it was a good time. And the newly elected Grand Polaris, our incoming First Lady for Iota Phi Theta, is a Zeta. Interesting. 413-337-1867. 413-337-1867. So let's break this down. Let's see if we can figure this out. Why is it that artists don't get canceled for anti-blackness? Why is it that they get to rap all kinds of degenerate and offensive and egregious lyrics about black people and it not offend anybody? At least it doesn't offend anybody to the point of canceling their endorsements, canceling them from concerts and all of that stuff. But when they offend the LGBTQ community, they kick them out quick, fast. It's like, see you later. I mean, it's like, you got to go right now. And once again, for those who get offended, because they automatically say that we're defending DaBaby. No. Pointing out the hypocrisy is not defending DaBaby. It's not defending what he said, what he did, any misinformation he put out there. It's pointing out pure, unadulterated hypocrisy. And if you don't see the hypocrisy, it's because you don't want to see it. You don't want to see it because it's there all up in your face. All up in your face. Okay? All up in your face. But let me, before I get there, let me deal with the Simone Biles thing. Then we'll come back to DaBaby. Let y'all marinate on that for a minute. So Simone Biles, of course, withdrew, got the calls popping already from a number of events, in the Olympics. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yes. Are we still talking about DaBaby?
Well, yeah. You can talk about that. I'm on Simone Biles, but we're coming back to DaBaby. But
okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm watching you on Facebook, and I think it's delayed. And I do.
It's okay. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is Dr. Grayson. First of all, B-side to my sunrise. Now, I'm on DaBaby because that's what I see. Mm-hmm. DaBaby presents a constant dichotomy in rap music. Mm-hmm. It was like when Snoop Dogg called Gayle a funky, dog-headed, you know what. Mm-hmm. how are we gonna get mad? We've been rocking for Snoop for 20 years, and he's been denigrating women.
Right.
We've allowed it. We've tolerated it.
It's not like it was the first time he called a woman a B.
That's what he's always done, and we rocked with him doing that. Mm-hmm. We've accepted it, we've allowed it, and I guess now someone outside. But on the same hand, I also respect that rappers rap their story. It's what they see and what they've lived.
Yeah.
Are we going to force them to tell their story to meet a standard? And I don't know that that's right either. Do I think DaBaby could clean it up some? Absolutely. But I also don't want to put our rappers, our poets, in a position that they cannot genuinely tell their story.
Right. And my thing is just real simple. Be consistent.
There you go.
You know, if passing misinformation about HIV/AIDS, if disrespecting the LGBTQ community is wrong, how could you tolerate the blatant disrespect to black women, to black people? How could you tolerate someone who raps about murdering black people? It's like, save the outrage. If you weren't outraged about all of his lyrics up until now, how dare you get outraged at this moment?
Exactly. It's a double standard. And you know the LGBTQIA community has a closer proximity to whiteness.
Absolutely.
And that's really what's at play there.
All day long. Appreciate your call, and I'll tell you, your sorrow will be on a little later.
All right.
All right. Take care.
You too. Thank you, Bishop. Bye-bye.
413-337-1867. So they've been calling, check this out, they've been calling Simone Biles a quitter. Matter of fact, Charlie Kirk, who's like 5'6", had the nerve talking about, oh, the Russians got the gold because of her. I gotta watch these 4'11" gymnasts. I'm like, dude, you ain't much taller than them. Stop it. But he called her a selfish sociopath who brought shame on the country. These conservative white men, these bigots, these Klansmen, have been denigrating and dragging our sister through the mud. And she is universally considered the greatest female gymnast of all time. Of all time. Bar nobody. Of all time. So she had a bad preliminary round, had a poor start last Tuesday, and later she said she wasn't in the right headspace. And so she withdrew. She's a 4-time Olympic champion. Okay? She withdrew. She looked lost during her first vault attempt. And then, after she withdrew, she came on to cheer her teammates. She said she needed to take care of her own mental health. All right? And then all of a sudden, all these white folks, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton, Pierce Morgan, Charlie Kirk, all of them, started disrespecting and dragging our sister. And people like Pierce Morgan's got the nerve to talk about her not being tough when this clown walked off his own television show because he couldn't hack criticism from his co-host. Walked off like a little punk. Then he's got the nerve to talk about Simone Biles not having toughness. These privileged white men who have never had to be tough, never had to deal with any type of adversity in their lives, have the caucasity to be running around here disrespecting and talking about this sister like a dog with 5 legs and 3 tails. And it doesn't surprise me, because anytime they cannot control black people, they attack them. This is, tell you what I tweeted this morning, and I know it's going to ruffle some feathers, but y'all know me well enough to know that I don't care about ruffling none of their feathers or their dog hairs or whatever you want to call it. Now, what I said this morning, and I mean every single word of it. Every word of it. And before I'll take anything back, I'll add more to it. I said this: make no mistake, the conservative outrage over Simone Biles last week was pure, unadulterated racism by white supremacists enraged that they couldn't crack a whip and force a black woman to do their bidding like their clan ancestors used to do. That's it. I mean, because they couldn't control her. They can't make her do what they want her to do. They can't control. And whenever they can't control you, they attack you. They come at you hard. When they can't take something away from you, when they can't control you, when they can't control the circumference of your activity, when they can't silence you, they attack you. See, the case of DaBaby, this is how the Klan community controls black people. Is when you offend them, we're going to take something from you. We're going to take your endorsements. We're going to cancel you from this concert. You know what I'm saying? We're going to take this contract. We're going to dismiss you from your job. They want to remind you that you're puppets on a string and we control the strings. We control your livelihood. So you either walk in accordance with our expectations, or we're going to make your life uncomfortable. That's the game plan. That's how they control you. And the reason they can't stand independent and free black people who don't derive their livelihood from white-controlled industries or from whiteness, is because they can't control you. They got no leverage over you. They got no carrots to hold over your head. And even when they do, if you take the mindset that I don't care, I'm going to be true to myself and you can take whatever you want, like when the mayor of my city took a community development block grant from our church because he was upset with me. I said, go on, take that funky little money. I'll never seek another dime from the city, and I haven't in the last decade since he did that. Because you're not going to hold some quarters over my head to silence me. I'm not going to be a foot-shuffling Negro who can only silently whisper about my grievances because I'm scared white daddy's going to take something from me. That's never going to be me. Never. Never. And that's why they hate black folk who are independent. That's why I'm so hard on preachers. Preachers who derive their income, their livelihood, their support from black people, from their predominantly black congregations, who want to sit in the shadows and remain silent in the face of tyranny against our people. It's like, what are you scared of? It's black folk who pay you. You ought to be standing up for them. You ought to be the most independent voice in America. Which is why I have such great respect for men like Dr. Grayson's pastor, my friend, Dr. Freddie Haynes, and William Barber, and so many others who speak truth to power, as black preachers ought to be doing across the nation. You know, so what they do is they try to denigrate you, castigate you, ruin your name, which is what they're doing with Simone Biles. They're calling her un-American, unpatriotic, all of that stuff. All that stuff. Because if you don't hold the line and you act like an uppity Negro, then they come for you. But make no mistake, she's the greatest gymnast of all time. She's still the GOAT. She still is a patriot, regardless of what these Trumpansies, these Klansmen, these bigots who are dragging her through the mud have to say about her. All right, that's my piece on Simone Biles. We're gonna get to DaBaby after we bring on Senator Eric Lesser, who is going to give us our State House update. He's going to tell us what's happening across the Commonwealth, and what we need to look out for, and all of that. Didn't have him on last month because he was traveling and all that kind of stuff on vacay, as many of us do. So let me bring the senator on.
Good morning, Bishop. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm good, doing well. So nice, quiet morning as usual. Nothing to talk about.
Okay. Of course, we know that's tongue in cheek.
Right.
Always plenty to talk about. What's happening? What's going on your way?
Personal front, things are good. The baby's 4 months next week, so that's fun. So things are kind of getting into the groove there, which is good. We just wrapped up, of course, the budget. So that's the biggest piece of news for us. We did overrides last week of the governor's vetoes. Point out there were a couple vetoes in there that I thought were really important for us to override, including funding for regional transit authorities. PVTA is part of that. So we were able to get that done, and then the legislature went into recess July 31. So this month of August will be fairly quiet, at least on the legislative front, and then in September we'll go back. But big news was getting the budget done finally, and also moving forward on a couple other key items, including just keeping an eye on Student Opportunity Act. So that money's going out the door for the fall school year, and then of course we're still keeping an eye on the implementation of police reform. And then we've got sports betting to talk about, which was something I spent a lot of time on the last few weeks. But be curious your thoughts on that.
I saw that. I saw some things. I haven't read a lot about it. I did read a couple of things about sports betting. Interesting. And see, this is the time for people to chime in on this. One thing that happened when they were talking about expanded gaming, it got passed by the legislature, and then when they were talking about where they were going to build casinos, all of the opposition groups came out in force, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, it's too late now."
Right.
They're gonna build them, and so you might as well talk about who the best vendor is to do the building. And so, I try to tell those groups now's the time to start talking about this, in the preliminary stages of it, not once it gets passed.
Right. Right. That was back. Yeah. And then they had it on the ballot again in 2014 after it had already been approved in 2011. So we're trying to avoid that this time by doing the work on the front end and getting everybody around the table. So we'll see how that progresses. The House passed a bill, just at the end of July last week or 2 weeks ago, and then I think the Senate will probably do it in the fall. But it might look pretty different from what the House did. So we're just working through that right now. That's a big item, and also another big thing that people should be keeping an eye on for September, October is how the Biden rescue money, the American Rescue Plan money, is going to get spent. Massachusetts has over $5 billion coming to it. This is a huge amount of money. If people remember, the governor wanted to decide on his own where to put it all. And we passed a law saying he had to go through the legislature and do a kind of normal budget process. He vetoed that. We overrode it. Anyway, that's a long story of back and forth.
Yeah.
The bottom line is we're going to be doing hearings. We just did 2 of them, but the Ways and Means Committee is going to be doing hearings around the state, getting testimony from people about how to spend that $5 billion. Now, there are a lot of restrictions to it. It has to be COVID related. It has to be kind of more one-time spending, things like infrastructure, that kind of thing. But there is also a lot of flexibility. So people should really reach out if they've got ideas. We're going to be really focusing on trying to get obviously as much as we can for Western Mass and for Springfield in particular, because we know we've got certainly a lot of need. And I would like to see a lot more money on transportation, rail, PVTA, investments in broadband, and those items. That's going to be at the top of our list in the fall.
Yeah, I'll be on Wednesday in a forum with Bud Williams, Mike Connelly, Secretary of Housing and Economic Development, and my colleague, Tanisha Sullivan, President of the Boston NAACP, talking about creating generational wealth, and also talking about this $5.3 billion that's coming as well, and how it's time to act and talk about where that money is going. It's important that we get involved in that process ahead of the game and not wait until they start spending that money.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so I'll keep an eye out, Bishop, for the forum you're doing. Secretary Keneally was in Chicopee last week, and we brought him to some small businesses just in downtown Chicopee. He was also in Springfield earlier in the day. I think he was in a bunch of Western Mass places. He was in Holyoke and Northampton too. But one of the things we're trying to really impress upon them is investments in downtowns, investments in gateway cities are really the key. I saw, the comment about housing. I mean, we have a housing crisis. I see, you see the prices. I don't know how people can buy houses right now. Rents are going up. The eviction moratorium has just ended, which is something that's really of concern for us locally. So it sounds like a lot of money, $5 billion. It obviously is a lot of money, but there's an incredible amount of need, and the state is bigger than people realize when you have to start going through all the places we need to put it.
Absolutely. Let me ask you about the timeline in terms of police reform. Now, as you know, we've been pushing for police reform in Springfield, in particular, and they're currently in negotiations with the Department of Justice around mitigating those constitutional violations that are delineated in that DOJ report that came out last summer. But we had the police reform bill passed for the state. What's the timeline in terms of implementation of the various pieces of that? I was appointed to the Permanent Commission on the Status of African Americans. I did get my letter from the Senate President, etc. But there's been no calling of an initial meeting or anything of that group to get the work started. And I'm like just twiddling my thumbs, like I'm ready, but what's up?
Yeah, that's embarrassing. That there's not an excuse for that. So kind of legally, the meat of the bill, the most important. Well, there's a lot of important parts, but the key is the certification standard for the officers, and that is up and running. The post commission has started. There is going to be a multi-month period where officers can apply for their certifications, but moving forward, new officers getting hired are already following that standard. We also, I was actually on a call recently with smaller police chiefs. So, the big cities, Springfield, Worcester, Boston, of course, they have a process in place now for ensuring compliance, but something we've also got to keep an eye on are some of these much smaller departments, where you might have a department with 4 or 5 officers in the whole department. They have to follow the law just like the big departments do. So we're in a process now for getting training documents out, getting some oversight out to those smaller departments. But it's up and running and it's effective. I believe one of the key dates was July 1. So we're through that, and actually, it's a broader point, not just on police reform, but a whole set of the bills that were passed last session are now kicking into effectiveness. One key one is the Student Loan Borrower Bill of Rights, which became effective July 1. So 800,000 people in the state that have student loans are now going to have a new protection effective July 1 that the Attorney General will be able to use to protect borrowers. So we've got to keep an eye on the police reform. And I know you and I have talked about this a lot, but there's so many pieces of the bill that are so detailed, and each element is so key to the success of the whole effort. And it's all going to be about the implementation. You know, you can have the letter of the law say anything really, but if you don't have implementation on the ground level, you're going to have
implementation and enforcement. It's kind of like the Voting Rights Act is still in effect on paper. But Section 5, the enforcement has basically been nullified. So what good is it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's I'm concerned about that, especially when it comes to redistricting, because you've seen the history of, congressional gerrymandering in other states. Previously, you had that Voting Rights Act protection, that people could challenge those maps in courts. And because of that Shelby decision from the Supreme Court, you no longer have that VRA check on the states. And it's a big problem. It's really important comparison.
Absolutely. Well, take care of that young one.
You got a lot of experience with that. So.
Oh yeah. I'm on the next generation, and they're growing fast. My oldest granddaughter is a teenager now. She's 13.
Wow.
So I got a little bit of experience in that area.
And you were away a little bit too. You got a little bit of vacation, I saw.
I got a little time away on the vineyard. My youngest son was very excited because that's like his favorite thing to do all year long, and we didn't get to do it last year because of COVID. And so I was really just happy to see the smile on his face. When we were able to go there. So it was good.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, well, glad you got the time, and people should rest up. We've got a very, very intense fall coming on a lot of fronts. So
yeah, absolutely. Give them your information, how to get in touch if they want to connect with you.
So, of course, the office is 413-526-6501. Again, 526-6501 for anyone who's local. You can also email me, eric.lesser@masenate.gov. Again, eric.lesser@masenate.gov. Also on Twitter, @EricLesser, Instagram, @EricLesserMA, and Facebook.com/EricLesserMA. We also have an old-fashioned website, senatorlesser.com. So any of those ways, and we will be happy to chat.
All right. Always a pleasure, Senator.
Hey, thank you. Thanks, Bishop. See ya. Bye.
413-337-1867. That was Senator Eric Lesser on the first Monday of the month, giving us our State House update and what's happening across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So thank you, Senator Lesser. 413-337-1867. About 17 minutes. First Lady is going to be coming up, so y'all stay tuned for that. Dr. Grayson, your soror, will be on here. I don't know what she want to talk about, but we're going to see. So the Simone Biles, let me get this telephone call, and then we'll talk. We'll continue. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning, and blessings to one and all. First, I think I wanted to ask Senator Lesser a question. There currently is a bill that is trying to get passed that would give the educational system permission to vaccinate children without parental consent, and that the parents will have to obtain a court order in order to retrieve information on the vaccination given. So I think that is extremely important, and I would hope something that he's looking into and aware of, as well as any other representative of the state of Massachusetts. Just on that note. And also, in regards to Simone Biles, that is one extremely brave and strong woman. Anyone that takes time for their mental health is not a defeated individual, but a very strong individual.
Yeah.
I think we do our children a great disservice, all of us, when we put out there as parents and leaders that the expectation is to what? Live up to what society says. That's the first lie we tell them. Because the one thing they have to know is to always choose themselves. Always, in any given situation. They were created for far more than just creation. Each and every one of them. But unfortunately, we as parents have been teaching a lie to them for centuries. That they have to be concerned about what other people say or think. No, they don't. And by us telling them that, we shorten them. We don't allow them that true growth that we want all of us to achieve as a people.
Right.
So, I mean, like I said, as far as Simone's concerned, my thing is this. When an Olympic committee has stated that they are not going to score you according to your talent because you are, quote, quote, too talented, too good, you've already eliminated the concept of what the games were initiated.
They changed the
when
whole
the Olympic committee is going to sit there and find the Norwegian team.
They basically changed the rules.
I forgot the sport right now. But they fined the Norwegian women's handball team, I think it was, for wearing shorts instead of bikini bottoms. I immediately asked myself, what kind of ludicrousy is that? Like, why should the females have to wear bikini bottoms to participate in sports in an Olympic situation? When in fact, the men wear shorts on other Olympic competitions.
All right.
So
well,
see, we
they
can't have such a diversity of things that are okay and acceptable. And we, as leaders and parents and people with generations to follow, we can't continue to mislead these children.
All right, they changed the entire rules. I've got to cut her off, unfortunately, because I'm trying to get in, but she's just talking and she's not hearing me try to have this conversation. I'm sorry, caller. You weren't hearing me, and so we couldn't have any back and forth. But she was correct. They changed all the rules because of Simone Biles' talent. Basically, they basically were saying, you are so far above and beyond everybody else that we have to change the rules to try to bring everybody else up to your level in any way that we can, which is insane. But that's what always happens. They always change the rules when we take control. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Mr. Swan. How you doing?
I'm good. You?
I was just thinking about you, man. Like you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. You're from Baltimore, eating crack, chilling. And I was like, man, you ready for the football season?
Listen. I think the Steelers are going to have a good team this year.
All right now.
And so I just say, watch out. That's all. And we do. We
will
see.
I was thinking about that. You have a blessed day. I just want to call.
All right.
I'm watching the show. All right. Take care.
Yeah, I think Steelers going to be all right. But as I was saying, they always change the rules for us. They always say when we take over the game, whatever the field of endeavor is, after we hurdle over all of the roadblocks that they have set up to make sure that we're not successful and we're successful anyway, you know what they do. They change the rules. Got to control. When I always talk about the Black Panthers when they went to the State House in California carrying rifles. They had open carry. Second Amendment rights. But when they saw black people taking advantage of the Second Amendment right, they immediately passed the Mulford Act to restrict gun access. And for the first time, the NRA supported restrictive gun legislation because they wanted to keep guns out of the hands of black people. Whenever we start playing the game and we start taking over the game, and we start dominating them in the game, whatever the game is, they change the rules. That's what happens. 413-337-1867. Let me touch on this DaBaby before we have to get off of WTCC. So, Lollapalooza, the concert at Grant Park in Chicago, dropped DaBaby from their concert, and did it just hours before his performance. And here's what they said, and I asked them a question about this. They said that the music festival was founded on diversity, inclusivity, respect, and love. Let me say that one more again. It was founded on diversity, inclusivity, respect, and love. So we're dropping DaBaby because of his homophobic remarks. So my question to Boohoo, to Lollapalooza, to everybody else who's now dropping DaBaby, how come y'all were cool when DaBaby's lyrics were about killing black people? A simple question. Simple question. Why were y'all okay? Long as he was rapping about killing black folk and disrespecting black women and all that, open arms. And so when DaBaby's rap said, you know, the first nigga play, I'ma body a nigga. You know, first one play, mess around with me, I'ma kill him. But y'all cool with that. Y'all, you know, ain't nothing wrong with that. That's okay. We can rock with that. And then this is what kills me here. This is what kills me here. Then Lollapalooza replaces him with Young Thug, who also raps about disrespecting black people. So we're gonna drop you because you offended the LGBTQ community, and we're gonna replace you with another rapper who disrespects black people because we okay with that. But we're about inclusivity, love, and diversity. Come on, man, stop it. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Bishop. Man, he stole my thunder. It's like as long as we are demeaning each other and characterizing us to each other, the hip hop genre has been taken over by powerful white men, right? And they get paid for gangster rap. So gangster rap sells because it's about killing us. But when it's about the LGBTQ community, when it's about the Asian community, when it's about every other community except for African community, there's a problem. We can call our women B's, we can call our women W's, we can prostitute them, we can manipulate their bodies, and we can do all of that. But just don't do nothing. Had DaBaby done something against a dog, Bishop, they would have dropped DaBaby. Animal rights activists would have dropped DaBaby if he had been offending dogs. But when it comes to our life in America, it just doesn't matter. And that's the fight that we fight. Our profound love and sense of humanity and how we love where we live in spite of all the evidence that Caucasians and white supremacy doesn't like us. We do all we can to make America a better place, and all white America does is defecate on us. And when we start building our own institutions, if African Americans start pledging allegiance to Africa and run with Africans, That Puerto Rican sister that won, she's not Puerto Rican, she's African. The Jamaicans, they're Africans. We're all one people. And we decide to come together, 1.3 billion Africans, and stop supporting white supremacy. America is going to miss the day when we separate from her. Take our talents, our gifts, and our skills, and be amongst ourselves, because what Simone Biles is going through and DaBaby is going through, them are our daughters, them are our sisters, those are our brothers, and this is how America treats us. And we have all the evidence that says she's not going to change. We have a white supremacist police chief who says that white supremacy and systematic racism does exist. We have a mayor who agrees with her because he keeps her on staff. And in spite of that, you got black people in this community who support this mayor, who's going to vote for him. In spite of all the evidence that this country and this city treats us like hell and everybody else profits, we still hold on to this hope that one day America will be like her better angel. And that's the damn travesty that this is how our mental health is. But we're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to stand up, Bishop, and you continue to do the job you're doing, Bishop. And God bless you and your family, and everybody have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you for your call. 4 minutes before we go off the air on WTCC radio on the spoken word. So those of you who are listening over our 4,000 watts across the Pioneer Valley, if you want to continue on with us, just log on to your social media and catch me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, and we can continue the conversation. If you're looking for a place to worship, remember you can always worship with us at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ. We're located at 35 Alden Street in Springfield, right at Six Corners, the Brick Church right there at Six Corners, 11 o'clock a.m. every Sunday morning. Also streaming live at that time. A couple things happening coming up. If you haven't done it, put this in your calendar. The NAACP's annual Freedom Fund virtual banquet is virtual. Will take place on September 16th, Thursday, September 16th at 7 p.m. Our keynote speaker is Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant, pastor of the New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Georgia, and also the former director of the Youth and College Division of the NAACP. So you don't want to miss that. Put that in your calendar. All of the details are coming out in the next 24 hours. Also, the annual Holy Convocation of the Nova Scotia Jurisdiction will take place September 8th through 11th at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ. Put a pin in there. You definitely want to be a part of that. And we've got a festival coming up on September 10th. You don't want to miss it. It's called Hope Festival. And we're going to be pushing folks toward taking care of their health around this coronavirus. But there's going to be entertainment. There's going to be food. There's going to be comedy, spoken word, poetry, music, you name it. It's going to be there right there at the church, 35 Alden Street, in the field right there at the church. You don't want to miss Hope Fest 2021. Okay, a lot of good stuff happening, a lot of things going on that you definitely don't want to miss. Listen, I got to move out the way off of the spoken word, but we're going to continue. We're continuing on. First Lady is coming up. We're going to continue on with the extended version. She likes to call it Beauty and the Beast. I'm going to leave that alone. But listen, until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember that God loves you, and so do I. We're out. Switch over. Come on over and meet me on social media. See you next time.
Hey.
sold out cause black women are loud and crass. What? And your precious white woman is the epitome of class? Are you so blind that you cannot see? That pale girl child ain't got nothing on me. For hundreds of years we have stood by your side, accepted your flaws and allowed you your pride, bore your children and cleaned up your mess, satisfied your lust and always settled for less. We have stayed in the background and allowed you to lead, trusting in your strength and ability to succeed, never getting the praise and credit we deserve, but having the courage, the will, and the nerve, for being the backbone that has kept it together, for you and our children in all kinds of weather. And now suddenly you say we're not good enough for you. We forced you to sell out because of the things we do. Well, where was that white woman when that white man you hate was cracking the whip? In the boardroom, the warehouse, and on the slave ship. She stood by his side and didn't say a word, waiting for her own chance to rule and be heard. And now it's her you turn to and treat like a queen? And me and my sisters you choose to demean? Well, hold up, wait a minute, and stop the damn bus. Cause there are a few things I need to remind you about us. A more beautiful creature God never made than an African woman, no matter her shade. High, yellow, red bone, or cocoa brown, we are more than worthy of wearing a crown. Ebony, mocha, or black as the night, it is we who have always shared in your plight. We are passionate, spiritual, loving, and kind. A more generous heart you'll never find than the one that beats inside the body of a Nubian queen, the hardest working, loving, giving woman you've ever seen. For we give and forgive until there's little left. Then we're forced to put up our guard to avoid your theft. The theft of our hearts and our trust, the very nature of our soul, by our so-called brothers who are just playing a role. And you wonder why some of us act as we do? Take to look in the mirror, cause the answer is you. It's not enough that the white man has always tried to keep us down, but our own men act as though they'd love to see us drown. And white women have never invited us to join their equal rights struggle. So we're out here alone with a million things we juggle, raising the children that black men leave behind, and dealing with the racism of the daily corporate grind. Damn, it's no wonder some of us are loud. Hell, we're just trying to be heard. In a world where everyone, including our men, ignore our every word. Where are the brothers who understand a black woman's worth? Who will protect and stand by us, for we are the salt of this earth. We birthed you, raised you, and showered you with love. It was we who taught you to love your creator above. We gave you all we had and taught you to be men. It is us, your black sisters, not Bo Derek's kind, who rate a perfect 10. And one final word for the sellout to claim to be brothers. When you turn your back on us, you disrespect your mothers. Did you hear that? This is a response to the sellout.
All right. That was a response to the sellout. Y'all know who you is. You know who you are. Man, you know, everybody can see you like putting, you know, your lipstick on and fixing your hair.
Lipstick is chapstick.
And all that. You know, we can see you.
Okay, we can see you too.
Okay.
We can see you. It was chapstick. It wasn't lipstick. It was chapstick, and I don't care. I put it on
Where did Boogie go?
Driving school.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. 413-337-1867. So
yes, Dr. Grayson. Yes, hey Zeta. What's up?
Oh Lord. You know, it's interesting. It's interesting, Dr. Grayson, living in the house with two neophytes. With two neophytes, a 21-year-old neophyte and a 50-something-year-old neophyte at the same time.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Are you done with your Zeta stuff? I mean, you know, because we're on the radio right now.
And in the 30 years that we've been married,
we're on the radio. We're on the radio right now, but we're on the radio. There's
but have I ever said
time and place for everything? There's a time and place.
Divine Nine. Yes, it's all love, Dr. Grayson.
There's a time and place for everything. You know, this ain't Zeta time.
Will you let me be great? Will you let me be great?
This ain't Zeta time, okay? All right. Anyway.
Will you let me be great?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, you got 20 seconds. Do your Zeta stuff. 20 Zeta seconds. There you go.
No, that's all right. I'll take as much time as I would like. You know, it's not up to you to tell me how much time I got.
See?
Oh my God, I can't wait to meet you in person.
So, DaBaby, he be calling Zetas B's and hoes. That didn't make nobody mad. It didn't make nobody mad. And now here's the thing. So this is what I was getting to before we had to get off of TCC. They replaced DaBaby at the Lollapalooza festival with Young Thug. And let me grab some lyrics I wanted to share with y'all. You know, her swag, my swag, gonna kill him like bang bang, kill a nigga, kill a nigga. Yeah. Oh, okay. So this
Well,
is
baby,
the
first of all, why
well.
are you
Well,
having this conversation with me? Because I don't listen to that mess.
the point.
I don't support it. I don't
I'm not
endorse
talking
it.
about you,
I
babe. The
don't.
point I'm making. The point I'm making is this: is if you claim that your festival
Mm-hmm.
is about, and let me get exactly what they said. They said that their festival uh,
Mm-hmm.
was about inclusivity, diversity, inclusivity, uh,
Mm-hmm.
respect, and love. Diversity,
Mm-hmm.
inclusivity, respect, and love. DaBaby's lyrics about killing black people didn't violate their tenets of respect and love. And then they replaced him with another rapper who raps about killing black people as well. So I'm confused. I'm
Well, first
confused.
of all,
So it was disrespectful and non-loving to offend the LGBTQ community, but it's not disrespectful and non-loving to talk about killing black people. Somebody help me
well,
understand that.
we first of all, we already know the answer to that question, and we already know that part of the statues of white supremacy is this, certainly contradict itself, right? So we know that. I guess my bigger problem is how did DaBaby, which I don't really want to spend a lot of time and breath saying the names, because indirectly we're promoting that mess, or whatever, by even having the conversation, or whatever, we're promoting it. Because unfortunately, a lot of our young people, and there's certainly a large part of society that don't get how, us buying into white supremacy helps to promote and perpetuate white supremacy. So that's the way that I see that, or whatever the case may be. But we already know that in racism and white supremacy, it's just one huge contradiction. It's just one huge lie, or whatever the case may be. But like you said, how can your mission statement be that we're about inclusion, diversity, love, and and this, that, and the other, but it's okay, for our community to be demeaned though by our community. So one of my questions is, I don't know DaBaby. I ain't never listened to his music. I don't know anything about him. I don't know nothing about the other young man, Young Thug, or whoever replaced them. I don't know anything about them because I don't listen to them. I don't promote them. I don't promote that kind of stuff. So, but I want to know, how did they become popular? Is that the consumer of black folks? So are we buying the
Let's
products?
be clear. Yeah, we are. We are. We are.
If we are, then I have a problem with us.
Well, let me make this caveat. We are buying and we are supporting, but 70% of rap music is purchased by young white people. So they are buying it at much higher rates than we're buying it. And
Yeah, but
the white dominated industry of producers, owners, record label execs, they love selling black thuggery, demeaning lyrics toward the black community because it sells for them. It sells for them. So they don't have a problem with, and so they can put out these glowing mission statements about diversity, love, respect, and all of that. But it does not apply to black people.
Yeah,
it doesn't apply to us.
I agree. I agree. But I don't. I think it is our responsibility, babe, to do what you're doing, right? So to expose the hypocrisy, I think that's very important. But I also think that for the black community, and this is not a black on black crime kind of debate, or or a parallel here that I'm trying to present. But I also think, like, in situations like this, instead of just okay, so you called out the hypocrisy. Now we got to call in what we've produced. So we got to call in a DaBaby. We got to call in a Young Thug, and we got to teach them how they are perpetuating this white supremacist system, you know, and how, you know, what they do and the products that they produce, you know, or whatever, is not uplifting the culture, it's demeaning the culture. So, you know, it's a call out and it's a call in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work, but, you know, if we really love our people like we say we do, you know, that's what we have to do. And so I want to talk about the real baby. And what I'm saying is the real baby is our sons and our daughters. I heard you refer to Simone Biles as a sister. She's our daughter. That is our daughter. You know, we're old enough to be her parents, you know, or whatever. And so with that being said, I was really offended by what she had to endure, but I want to take it back. I think for actually, it started a long time ago. This didn't start with Simone Biles. But I will say that most recently, it probably started with Naomi Osaka, when she chose herself, when she chose her mental health. And you know, and people went crazy because she opted out of the, Lord have mercy, I don't watch sports, but what is it called? Was it the French Open or something like that? You know, whichever game, you know, she opted out of because, you know, they was putting the pressure on her to do something that she wasn't comfortable with. So she chose her well-being, she chose her mental health, she chose self-care, and you know, and of course she got dogged out for it. But it's not unlike, you know, many of the situations that Black women, Black girls, or Black men and Black boys, you know, have to endure. So when we don't meet the standard of whiteness or whatever, there's a problem, and we get called weak. We get called selfish. We get called all of these demeaning and derogatory names. So that's not unusual. But I would like to make this point. I think that it was almost a lining up of the stars. And so I think these Black women, and Sha'Carri Richardson, I'm going to throw in there too. I'm going to toss in there too. It was different, but nevertheless, it's almost like it was a spiritual thing, or a spiritual thing that is taking place. You know, these Black women chose their mental health over, you know, competing and over satisfying, you know, the appetite of winning or bringing home the goal or whatever the case may be, or performing for this society. And I think to me, I just want to complete this thought back. To me, it was a form of protest. It's like, to me, these Black girls or these Black women choosing themselves and their mental health and well-being was their way of saying, my life matters.
What I think, but I'm sure of is that the white outrage.
It did, Dr. Grayson.
Is not because they care about these sisters, these women.
Right.
The white outrage is we can't get our Black bucks to do our bidding. You know, the way they used to box Black men against each other on the plantation and on them and stuff like that. So basically these Black bodies, you know, in the Olympics is about a conservative right-wing patriotism, winning a medal for America. And we don't care about you as a person, and how dare behind pull out of the Olympics after all we've done for you. That's what that's about. And that's all that's about. And they're upset that they can't crack a whip like their clan ancestors used to do and make them get out there on that field, Negro, and compete.
But you see this same mentality. It's not just in the Olympics. But you see this same mentality on every single level, even in our politics. I mean, again, I mean, do we really have to, press rewind? Look at all that Black women have done and continue to do, to save the democracy. But then, we do it, we elect Biden, we elect Harris, we elect the Democrats and this, that, and the other. And we still don't have, we still don't have the voting rights bill, the John Lewis voting rights bill signed. We still don't have police reform as a federal law, a federal mandate. We still don't have anything that was on the quote unquote Black agenda. We still don't have any of those things signed locally, statewide, or federally.
Mark Dorsey, Judge Ireland is not gonna come on my show.
Yeah.
That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen.
And Mark, we're working on providing some forums, and and more than likely Bishop will certainly participate in that. Some candidate forums. We're working on bringing those to the community, no doubt.
It's exhausting being a Black woman in America.
Oh yeah, Dr. Grace. Oh yeah, no doubt. I was thinking about, it's different, but it's the same thing. I worked in, and this, so I won't say the name, but I worked in higher education for a number of years, and so there was a certain kind of flow as far as like advancement was concerned, as far as like promotion was concerned. And so I sat back and I waited my turn. I was the only Black administrator, and in the office at that time. I came in, pretty much lower level administration, and I sat back and I waited my time. So this one got promoted, then I went up. This one got promoted, then I went up. But when it got to upper management, that's when things changed. When it got my turn, when it became my turn to become the first African American in that office, to become a upper management, to be promoted into an upper management position. I had always received great evaluations, reviews. I had brought some things to that office that had never been there before, some programs I had designed had never been there before. But again, they changed the game when I got there. And that wasn't lost on me. That was not lost on me that I was the first Black to ever, be able to acquire that position or obtain that position. And then they changed the game. And what they did was, and she became my friend, but what they did was they took somebody who had started out as a intern and pulled her up and gave her the job.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said earlier, every time we play the game by their rules, and then we start excelling at their game, then they change the rules.
Yeah, well, and even in at that, I wasn't even trying to outwork anybody, excel anybody. I was, I waited my turn. And then, like I said, I had seen it, the way the flow was. So I knew what it was, or whatever. It's just that they changed the terms of the game, when it was my turn. And it happens all the time. It happens all the time to us. And so we look at it as very subtle. We look at it as like, it's not unusual, because it's not unusual. But anyway, at the end of the day, it's everywhere. It's not just in high profile games like the Olympics or the NBA or whatever.
I was just getting ready to give the example right here in Springfield. When it came to when they wanted to get a new police commissioner after Flynn left to go be the police chief in Milwaukee. They didn't do a national search. They picked Bill Fitchett from in-house. When Bill Fitchett retired, they chose John Barbieri from in-house. When they got rid of Barbieri, they chose this current clown, Cheryl Clapprood, from in-house. When they got ready to get a new fire commissioner, they chose from in-house. Now, by contrast, when Bryant Robinson, this goes back a while, was in line to become the first black superintendent of schools, they decided, oh no, we need to do a nationwide search. We need to do a nationwide. We can't pick from in-house. We can't pick from in-house when a black person is next in line.
Next in line.
We need to do a nationwide search. So the rules always change when we're up next.
Mm-hmm. Except when, right, they ready for us to perform. Like, oh, just wait till Simone, hit the stage. Just wait till Naomi hit the stage. And this, that, and the other. And so when these ladies were courageous enough to put their mental health above, money, fame, popularity, and white acceptance. Let's not forget that, because that kind of rules the day for a lot of people, right? And white acceptance, I just thank God. I just thank God that they had the fortitude and the wisdom to know that money and fame and that kind of acceptance and popularity is not the end all be all. That's not the most important thing in life.
Yeah, well, you can't tell this society that, because they certainly believe that it is. And once again, like I said, they don't really care about Simone Biles. The black bodies that excel in the sports arena, white folks don't look at them as Americans. They don't look at them as anything other than Negroes who do our bidding. If this is my favorite team, I love the fact that these black folks help my team win. Not that I like black people, because then when those same black bodies open their mouths and they start speaking and advocating for black people, all of a sudden they become niggers again. When LeBron opens his mouth, it's shut up and dribble.
Yeah.
Be quiet. Nobody asked you this. When black football players take a knee, this isn't the time. You're out there to play football, nigga. That's what that's their mentality toward it. We pay your black behind to play football. Play football. We don't want to hear about no Black Lives Matter. So they don't even
they say
black athletes as human. They see them as cattle.
They say to you, shut up and preach. Shut up and preach.
They do the same thing in the arena of ministry. Preach about Jesus. And how many times do I have white folks come at me and say, "What do you ever preach about Jesus?" Yeah, I preach about Jesus all the time. Just because you don't read the Bible and you don't understand Jesus, you don't understand that Jesus was about social justice. You don't understand that Jesus came to set at liberty those that are captive. That's what Jesus said. And so when you speak against oppressive systems, I'm preaching the gospel. Not your whitenized Christianity. You want me to preach slaves be obedient to your masters, like y'all had Nat Turner preaching from plantation to plantation until Nat Turner got a revelation by the Holy Spirit and then started preaching the real gospel of self-reliance and self-love and fighting against tyranny. That ain't the gospel, y'all. I'm a Nat Turner kind of preacher. I preach the gospel every day. But, that when they tell a black preacher, why don't you preach the gospel? What they mean is, Why don't you just tell the Negroes?
Supremacy.
Yeah, tell the Negroes to just be quiet and love us. You know, let's come to. You're supposed to. They always say you're supposed to be bringing people together. I don't want to be together with racists that want to kill us. I want to get as far the hell away from y'all as I can. No, the gospel I preach isn't about coming together with folk who hate us because of our skin.
It's frustrating, right?
But that's you know, and what really kills me is these pseudo Christians who, the ones who run around talking about like Donald Trump is God's anointed, and the ones who justify every time the police kill a black person, the ones who go around, you know, with their white supremacist theological perspective, who want to give me religious advice, who want to teach me how to preach the gospel. I had somebody say to the other day, "Oh, you guys are just blaming white people for your underachievement." And I'm like, why do white folks always assume that black people they talking to are underachievers? I'm like, fool, I got 5 earned degrees from accredited institutions. Okay, I'm a successful professional, you know, business owner, property owner. It's what underachievement are you talking about? You know, talking about your lack of accomplishment. I'll put my accomplishments up against yours any day of the week. And see, here's the thing: accomplished black people still have to deal with racism and white supremacy. That's y'all's problem. Y'all think because a black person achieves some level of success in some arena, achieves some level of financial success, that means they don't have to deal with racism. If you're a black millionaire, you can't talk about racism. Yes, the hell you can. Yes, you can. Cut it out. You know, let's talk about a dude named Bill Cosby, prosecuted when he shouldn't have been prosecuted. I mean, let's talk about so many black successful millionaires and high profile people, from actors to athletes, that have been racially profiled by police, discriminated against. Let's talk about Oprah, the richest black woman in America, who went into a doggone shop and they acted like she couldn't afford to shop there and wanted to put her out. Don't tell me black people don't deal with racism just because of any level of success they've attained. Racism is not about how much money is in your bank account.
And the other thing about that, which really gets under my skin is, and even when we're the victims, in which we are all the time, right? But even when we're the victim, it's like we got to be the perfect victim. Like, in other words, it's like the police who brutalize, black men or kill black men or whatever, when they, do search into their history or background. If they wasn't the Sunday school teacher, and like never smoked marijuana or whatever the case may be, it's almost like we have to legitimize their lives, and it's like, but we don't have to legitimize your life. And that's, you understand what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be successful to be a victim. White folks, that's what I mean, right? So like when they cry victim, it's just accepted, and don't nobody do no background check, to say, oh, okay, he's a credible victim, or he's a legitimate victim, or whatever, because he's been the Sunday school teacher and he's made straight A's and he never gave his parents a problem, and or whatever the case may be. The ignorant stuff that they find on us, as black victims of racism, brutality, fatalities, or whatever, from systems and so on and so forth. It's just, it's heartbreaking. It makes me angry, but it also makes me very sad. Yeah, it's respectability politics. Thank you, Sora, for giving me the words. But, like, why do our children have to be perfect? In their eyes, you know, in their eyes, of course, you know, because to us, they don't have to be, because we respect their humanity. And that's the problem. And that's I believe that's also what these athletes are saying. They're like, okay, I take a knee and you got a problem with that. I wear a t-shirt that says Black Lives Matter, you got a problem with that. I wear a t-shirt that says Breonna Taylor on it, you got a problem with that. So I tell you what, I'm just gonna choose me, and I'm just gonna choose you know, my people, you know, over what you want from me, over performance. I'm a choose the people over performance. So, and I'm gonna choose, you know, my personal self-care over performance. I'm gonna choose my health and my mind over your desire to see me perform.
Yeah, let me take this call, and then I want to play a short video. Good morning, caller. They didn't want to talk. 413-337-1867. If you want to chime in. Let me see if I can pull up this video. This is the type of foolery that we've been dealing with. And here's the thing, you know, they think that, you know, whenever they feel like it, they can come after us, including our women, our children. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. They think that, you know, you're fair game. And so there's nothing worse to me in America than mediocre white maleness. Because mediocre white men think that they are the standard bearers of everything. Listen to this dude here. Check this clown out.
Yeah, that's the point, Simone Biles. You're representing your nation, you selfish sociopath. You kidding me? Today's like, you know what? I'm not going to do something stupid and get hurt. It's just not worth it. Especially when you have like three amazing athletes that can step up to the plate and do it. So you know who has the gold medal? Russia. I have to go look at these 4'11" Russian Olympians chewing on their gold medal, smirking at the Americans. I'm not okay with that. But honestly, that's where we're headed. We are raising a generation of weak people like Simone Biles.
Now, this dude had to call Cassidy to talk about, I got to look at 4'11" Russian. Dude is like 5'4" himself. I'm like, dude, you're like 5 inches taller than that. Are you serious? But here's a mediocre, racist white dude who gained popularity on the Trump train, you know, during that era, who's never done anything in his life other than spread bigotry. You know, he's over that TPUSA that Candace Owens and Brandon Tatum, you know, was on. And that's all he's ever done is Trump 2020 and all that kind of stuff. And he thinks that he, you know, can give commentary on some like where the hell is your gold medals at? I mean, who the hamburger are you to have commentary on that and to disrespect this young black lady like that? This is the stuff that I'm talking about, man. Is they just think that they own us, and when we don't do their bidding, you know, then it's an all-out attack. And we've got to uphold our people. We've got to speak up and speak out against this type of bigotry.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think it also gets to a point, you know, like grandmama would say, like grandmothers used to tell us, we can show them better than we can tell them, you know. So I think it's time to stop talking and just be about it. or whatever, like Simone did. She didn't, and that's the other thing, and I said this the other day. I was having a conversation about this very thing. And I said, it's exhausting as a Black woman, right, to make a decision, to choose us, to choose our families, to choose our people, to choose our community. And it's exhausting to have to explain why all the time, or to feel like we need to explain why. So I believe these young ladies, are like in this way, that we're making a decision. We're choosing our community, we're choosing our humanity, we're choosing our well-being, we're choosing our mental health, we're choosing our families, and we're not explaining that to you. We're not explaining that to anybody. That's exhausting. Fannie Lou Hamer made a decision, and I believe I'm of that generation, of that spirit. That Fannie Lou Hamer spirit is like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what uplifts my community. This is what uplifts my spirit, my race, my people, or whatever in this, white supremacist society, that I have to live in. And I'm not explaining it. That's exhausting. That is exhausting. Having to explain why we choose ourselves and why we choose to support our own humanity. You're not going to do it, so we have to do it. So let's just show them better than we can tell them.
All right. On that note, it's time to go get some grits. We going to get grits?
I don't know. You might be getting grits.
What we going to get? I mean, where we going? It depends. If we go to IHOP, I'm getting T-bone steak and eggs. If we go to Cracker Barrel, I'm getting some grits.
Okay, then we're going to Cracker Barrel, so I guess you're getting grits.
So I'm getting grits?
Dr. Grayson, do you know I'm from Dallas? I'm from Dallas. Did you tell Dr. Grayson I'm from Dallas? You be acting like, you
just did.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying you be.
You don't know now, you know. If she didn't know, now she knows.
Good morning, everybody. I didn't get to speak. Yeah, I'm from Dallas, born and raised from the South Side. I graduated from Lincoln High School.
So, Mark, to your question, one, Judge Ireland's not gonna come on the show.
Oh, Mark is inviting us to Tony Pizza.
Number two, the mayor is not going to let the current complaint review board members come on my show. He's not going to let that happen. As far as Zeta is concerned, I'm more than happy to bring Zeta on the show. So that's going to happen. Don't worry about that. That's going to happen. So all that's going to happen. We're gonna get some local stuff. Look at her having her. See, this is what I'm talking about. She's trying to have a one-on-one conversation with Dr. Grayson. This is the Zeta Phi Beta show. Boy,
we gotta talk. We gotta catch up.
Boy. All right, got to roll out your way. Now, listen, once again, I want to remind you of a few things that's happening around here. First of all, if you're looking for a place to worship, check us out at the Spring of Hope Church of God in Christ, 35 Alden Street, the Brick Church, right there at 6 Corners, 11 o'clock a.m. every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday for our midweek service. Prayer line is open Monday through Friday at 7 o'clock a.m. A lot of things happening. On September 8th through the 11th, our Holy Convocation is happening. On the 10th, Hope Festival 2021, entertainment, music, spoken word, all of that stuff is going to be going down right there at the church on September 10th. You don't want to miss it. On September 16th, the annual Freedom Fund of the Greater Springfield NAACP is taking place virtually. You need to register. for that. Our keynote speaker is Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant, pastor of the New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Lithuania, Georgia, and also the former youth and college director of the National NAACP. So got a lot of stuff that's happening, that's coming up, that you want to be a part of. All right.
Mark invited us to lunch later.
So all of that is going on. So until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember, God loves you. So do we. I fi till the day I die. Out. See y'all later. Peace, blessings, love, all that stuff. Deuces.